In this video, we're going to cover how to increase labor productivity in the construction industry. You should watch this because 98% of managers, if not more, really don't know how to increase productivity in construction. I'm going to tell you about those misconceptions and those myths in this video. So there are 3 myths about productivity that I'm going to tell you about that you can just avoid altogether. And I'm going to tell you how those myths really drive extended schedules, crash landings, fee loss, poor productivity, overtime, running workers into the ground. All of these negative things that happen a lot of times make their way back to construction productivity and the loss of it because we don't know about those myths. And I'm going to share with you some topics that at first might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but they'll really increase your production on your construction projects. And by the end of this video, I really hope that you have a correct understanding of what the word production means when we talk about it in a construction environment. So stay with us. What is meant by productivity? Let's first define that term. I'm going to draw this how I like to visualize it over here on my post-it note. So when I think about productivity, I think about a crew, workers assembled into a crew, completing work in a zone. And so the question that I have, there's a certain amount of time that they have to complete that work. And there's a certain number of people. Let's say that they have 3 people, and they have to complete that work in a zone. And so production, what I mean is, did we accomplish the amount of work with the right amount of people in the time that was allotted? And when we say we made production, we didn't make production, it means that we didn't get this work done in this zone. When we don't do that, then we have delays, we have extensions, people start having to work overtime. All of the bad things that I told you about before start to happen when we don't make this production. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you about is what not to do. So these are the keys that I promised you. If you are going to add more materials, meaning the superintendent says, hey, bring out all the materials right now, I want them all, load them up on the job. That is going to slow down your production because instead of working in these zones, let's say this was our first zone and then they were going to go here into zone number 2. As soon as I start stacking materials all over the place, I've now inhibited the crew's ability to go do the work. Now that I have materials all over the project site, I'm going to slow down. And so that's one of the biggest myths, is that I can increase production by bringing all of my materials out here all at once right now. One of the other myths is just to add more manpower. So I'll just write that up here, okay? Or labor is probably the more correct term. When we had a 3-person crew and then we're like, hey, we want them to go faster through here, I'll add another person and another person and another person and another person. Well, let me talk to you about that. As soon as you start to add people above the needed levels on that crew, the complexity of communication increases, meaning it's harder for this crew to talk. It takes a minimum of 7 days for these new people to get on board with 100% individual productivity. As soon as you have too many people on site, obviously you're burning through more dollars. And the other thing is, now that you have more people, it's harder to manage those people. We're a little bit more distracted. We have a higher likelihood of installing work wrong, right? And taking our focuses off roadblock removal. And so adding more manpower to this isn't going to help if it's above needed levels, because the thing that's making us lose productivity is still there. The roadblocks are still there. The lack of flow is still there. The lack of planning is still there. The lack of materials is still there. Adding more people most of the time will not increase your productivity, especially when it's above needed levels. The other thing is throwing cost at the problem. So meaning money. I'm just going to put a dollar symbol right here. People will say, well, let's throw money at the problem. We can start to pay them to work overtime. We can pay them to speed up. We can pay for a new piece of equipment. We can incentivize them to go faster. Well, turns out going faster, working overtime, these are just going to fatigue the crew and the people that were there in the first place that could have handled that amount of work but just didn't have the tools and equipment and the needed resources to get their work done in the first place. So adding material, manpower, and money to the problem most of the time won't help. And in fact, the actual opposite is true. If you're adding manpower, materials, and money to the project above needed levels, it's actually going to slow you down. So these are strategies that you would use if you wanted to go slower and if you wanted to spend more money. So these are the three main myths when we're talking about productivity or increasing production in construction. So I'm about to show you how we can increase production on your project. But before we do that, if you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. The likes really help us to know if we're getting the right kind of content out there. It helps share our message, right? And when you subscribe, it means that we can continue to get this information out to you, which is something that we want to do. This is a labor of love. We're doing these videos because we want to benefit the construction industry. So please like and subscribe. And now we're going to get into the main point. How can we increase production on our project site? All right, so this is exciting stuff. The first thing that you're going to want to do is to work in what's called one process flow. So let me draw this. Let's say you have a zone of work and this zone needs to be done, and let's say there's another zone right behind it. So this is zone 1 and this is zone 2 right here, okay? And we have a crew of people. There's the foreman or lead person and then the workers over here represented by these dots, okay? So they're going to go do this work. Most of the time, we literally just dispatch these people into this zone like it's Southwest Airlines boarding. It was just like 1 through 30, go. Like, go figure out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. That's not how we should do things. One process flow means that we have standards. This is called standard work, where we have visual pictures and bulleted requirements for how to install that work in a visual manner the right way. And so if we have this, and this, I'm just going to call this standard work. If we have this standard work, then that foreman and that crew center on that and prepare. That means that they get the tools, the equipment, the materials, the layout, the information, all of the preparation assignments so that they can go do this work that way, okay? So we must have, before we go do this work, and let's just look at this on a timeline. If this is the work in between, right, this is when they're going to go do the work, the crew must have time to prepare. This is what's called creating capacity. You're creating capability in the crew, and then once that crew has capability, they have capacity, meaning they have the additional capacity to do the work. So we don't just go do the work, we plan it first, okay? Then, when that crew mobilizes and does this work right here, it's very important that they not be rushed. We want them to be able to focus and do their work right. So, we don't want to put on them that rush. We don't want to ask them to go faster. We don't want to burden them with too much overtime. We want to let them have the amount of time that it takes to do that work right. So, if we plan it first, the next thing we do is we build it right, okay? And if we build it right, that means we don't have to come back, right? So not only are we able to finish this within the allotted time duration because we've prepared and planned and trained, but now we're actually able to build it right within that duration. Okay, the other thing is before this crew moves on to zone 2, from a production standpoint, they don't just move in that direction. They don't just go there right away. We take time as a buffer to finish as we go. And this might sound like common sense, but I'm telling you, nobody does this. Finish as you go. So what that means is we will demobilize from this area. We will move our gang boxes to the forward area. We will clean and sweep the area. We will inspect the work that we installed. We will fully finish and complete and then mobilize to zone 2. And then before we do zone 2, you guessed it, we're going to plan it first again, then do the work, right? Okay, do it the right way and finish as you go. So here's the phrase that I'd like you to write down. Plan it first, build it right, and finish as you go. When we do that, then we will really achieve some good production, especially because we're doing this work as repetitive tasks from zone to zone to zone to zone, right? So plan it first, build it right, and finish as you go. Okay, so I'll give you some quick tips here for how you can actually do that with your crew. Number 1, from a production standpoint, you have highly trained foremen. And then you start to work to compose a crew where they are trained and they're working well together and they have a common language, a common culture, a common way of doing things, and that this team is a fit. So when this might sound like common sense, but a lot of times in construction we're like, well, let's move this person to there, to there, to there, to there, all over the place. Let's move that foreman, let's move these people, let's take these two away. No. We're never gaining when we do that. We need to have a really good group of people that are used to working with each other. And then once you have, and this is what I call a green crew, like green, yellow, red. If this is a green crew, that means that they all like working with each other and they're hitting production and they're enjoying their work. Once you have a green crew, you protect it. Like you start, if somebody attempts to mess with you, company leadership or anybody else, like you growl and you bite their ankle. Like you don't let them mess with this. Like you start to protect your green crews. And these green crews have the right team size, okay? And what I mean by team size is that it's not too large and it's not too small. Statistically, 3 to 12, 3 to 9 are typically the right team size. The ideal team size is typically 4. But the bottom line is, let's make sure we have the right number of people working on that task and that they're focused. When you allow them to be focused, that reduces context switching, which is the 15, 45 minutes, or even sometimes up to 4 hours of wasted time to change from going from one type of work to a different type of work. And that's where team size comes in too. If you have the right team size, you'll be able to stay on that focused work and get rid of that context switching, okay? And so if you've done that, and you have a consistent leader, and you have a consistent group of people right here, and you're not changing things up, then you can actually install things the right way, meaning that this crew really knows how to install quality work. So they have a good understanding of how to install it in a quality manner, okay? And if they do that, then knowing that they have some consistency from area to area, they can start planning and preparing work, which means that they can remove roadblocks, okay? So if you want a really good crew to really do well, you will have the crew with the right leader, with the right team size, that like working together. They're a green crew. You will allow them to work in one piece flow from area to area to area and really get good at that work, which is focused because they're doing that type of work and they get good at it, repeat it over and over and over. And they start to get better at it, which increases the quality, and it allows them to start planning and preparing. So I'll close by saying this. A crew should never hit the ground running. It's okay, how do we do this work? Let's go do the work. And how did we do the work? What can we do better? So let's do this again. Hey crew, this is what we're about to install. These are the quality requirements. This is the equipment. This is our plan. Let's talk and communicate. Okay, go do the work. Then when you're done, you say, hey team, what do we want to do better? And then your crew will be like, well, the materials worked out, but what we need to do is stage them in a different location. Or hey, the gang boxes were good, but I think if we organize them like this, it'd be better. Or hey, instead of, stringing out 6 or 7 different cords off of one generator, let's position 2 generators on opposite points of the floor. You'll start to get better. And then guess what? You go to zone 2. How do we want to do this according to what we've learned? Go do it and improve it. One piece flow. That is how you increase production and construction, by building capability and capacity to go do the work within the allotted amount of time. I hope you found this video impactful and that I've explained it well enough for you. And if you're wanting more, like if you're like, I want more about this, we have a free download down in the description that you can click on, and it's a graphic to show you what you can do to increase productivity in construction, and it has some really cool studies in there. So you're gonna want to check that out. And remember, if you like this, if we're jamming, if we're having a good relationship, please like and subscribe. On we go.